Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 29th annual BNEWS Live election coverage. My name is Alan Foulds, and I'm here with Rich Hosford, Director of BNEWS. Over the next half hour or so, we'll be reviewing all of the results from today's election, and we'll be meeting some of the candidates. Before we start, Rich, what was the turnout like?
Well, so when we say that we're going to be reviewing all of the results, they're actually waiting down or working right now in the town, down in the gym, the town clerk and her staff to count all the write-ins. We had a couple of positions that had a significant number of write-in votes. So usually we have like a nice convenient sheet in front of us. We don't have that this year, but what we do have is, the results for the the key races. And as far as turnout, what we know is that as of 7 p.m., we are at 15.5%, which, is a little bit of an uptick over last year, which is at 13.7%, and kind of fitting, especially we have expecting more, probably kind of average out or, be close to what we had in other years, like
years ago,
2017.
Yeah, ballot question probably brought out a little bit more than last year too.
I think so. I think there was definitely a lot of interest in that.
So we want to start with the selectmen's race?
Yeah. So we had three candidates up for election. We had incumbents Chris Hartling and Bob Hogan, and challenger Nick Priest. Nick Priest actually came out with the most votes. The initial numbers are 1675, Bob Hogan 1415, and Chris Hartling 1377.
Okay. How about the planning board?
Planning board, another challenger won in that race. We had incumbent Carol Perna and challenger Mike Espejo. Mike took 1,589 to Perna's 888. All eight.
All right, and the other big question of the day, the question one, the treasurer-collector question.
The ballot question, and for anybody not certain, this is to change the treasurer tax collector position from elected, as it has been, to appointed. And that was a big yes. 1,565 people voted yes, 1,038 voted against. So that passed with quite a wide margin.
Okay. Well, we have our first guest here, Chris Hartling.
Yes. We are joined by two-term member of the Board of Selectmen, Chris Hartling. Chris,
yes.
Thank you for coming in. I know it was a tough night, but appreciate you coming in and just talking to us and talking to the people who supported you out there watching tonight. I know it was a hard-fought campaign. How do you feel?
I feel thankful for a lot of different things. First of all, I want to thank you, Rich, and BCAT. I think you guys do a fantastic job. I think I've communicated that to you in the past. I think you specifically do a great job, so I want to thank you for everything over the years.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. I say thankful, very thankful for the people I get to spend more time with now. My wife, Julie, my daughter, Sophia, they're both at home now, and my son, Christian, who will be home from college in a month. So thankful that I will get to spend more time with those guys. Thankful to Sean Connors, who ran this campaign that I thought was a good campaign. And I'm realized now that I have a really good friend in Sean. So to me, that's a big positive that came out of this race. Also want to express my thanks to Charlie Murphy, another very good friend of mine who encouraged me to run for selectman first time I did. So thankful for my friends, thankful for my family, appreciative of the people who did vote for me.
Yes.
And
it was close.
Yeah.
It definitely was, no shame there.
Yeah.
So you've been on the board for 6 years. You've been chair for the last 2. Just thinking back on your time on the Board of Selectmen, what are some things that sort of stand out as proud accomplishments for you?
Rather than discuss accomplishments, I think the things that stand out for me, because I think the accomplishments, those were accomplished in a group setting, and I think if you drive down the street in Burlington, if you go and have something to eat with your friends or your family in Burlington, if you look at the industry, if you step back and look at the whole picture of what we have here in Burlington, those are quote-unquote accomplishments for all of us, and I'll take credit for some of that. I think the things that stand out, honestly, are friendly faces that I run into anytime I walk into town hall, anytime I see any of the DPW guys, any of the cops, any of the firefighters, anybody that works for the town. The things that stand out to me are the smiles and the conversations and the relationships that I've been fortunate enough to establish through the years. So those are the things that jump out at me, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And you think you'll remain a presence and community service?
I think for the immediate future, I'm going to be remaining a big presence in my home. Honestly, I haven't really taken a minute. I'm just kind of processing this right now. I haven't thought about that stuff. Again, I'm looking more at the opportunities that I have with my friends and my family and the people that I really care about.
Okay.
More than I'm thinking about what's next. You know.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up. But any final things you want to say to people out there? That
No, I think I've pretty much said everything. And again, I do want to express my thanks to everybody that, again, came out to vote. Anybody that helped out. I had a lot of people that really helped out. They know who they are, and I'll thank them personally after tonight. But yeah, that's it. That about sums it up.
Well, I think I speak for all residents of Burlington. I think anybody who either runs and either gets in office or doesn't, it's an admirable thing just to try to put yourself out there and try to make a difference in your community. So thank you for your 6 years of service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Good night.
Good night. All right, I think we have a few more people coming in, but
We do.
While we're waiting for them to get mic'd up, we should mention again, you were saying that the other races will be on a continuous loop through the
Right.
night?
So what we're going to do is we'll make everything as we do normally. We have someone diligently back there working on graphics, and we're just going to run those in a loop. Also later on tonight, as soon as I get off from in front of the camera and we get the full results from the town clerk's office, I will be writing up a story, summarizing all the different races. So the information will definitely be available quite soon for all the town meeting spots and everyone, and the constable and and the write-in positions.
Right, and all of the unopposed positions as well, yeah. All right, we have Nick Priest, our newest selectman. Welcome, Nick.
All right, Nick. Well, second time's a charm.
Yes, so.
How do you feel?
It's a very unique feeling. Like I've been saying to folks, it's a great feeling. Obviously,
Sure.
It's never been one to, or I should say, my run for selectman has never been to specifically challenge anybody or to, go after someone. And so to have Chris no longer as a selectman is a loss, and one that I want to acknowledge, because he has served this community for many years and done a lot of great things, and so I obviously wish him the best, and but I mean as someone who won today, I do feel very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just going to start on the board. Any ideas for what you want to do when you first get there?
Well, I think it's it's one step at a time. This is one of those things where you just jump into the moving train, and so first things first is get sworn in Monday morning, and then dive into the meeting on Monday, and kind of take everything from there. I think I definitely want to take a look at communication and community engagement, things that I ran on, things that people said resonated very strongly with them, and go from there. Not to say that I've got 3 years to kick back and figure it out, but I have a plan that I want to discuss with the rest of the selectmen and see what we can do.
Okay, excellent. And I know you've been out campaigning hard, but no campaign is one man alone or one person alone. Just talk any word to all your supporters on the campaign.
Yeah. So I mean, first off, a huge thank you to the people of Burlington. Obviously, I couldn't have won today without you. It means the world that you've placed your trust in me, and I will do everything in my power to serve you for the next 3 years to the best of my ability. Obviously, I want to thank Chris, and Bob for running great campaigns as well, and their support teams, who obviously were backing them very strongly, and everyone was a gentleman, and it was, I mean, overall a great 8 weeks, a hard 8 weeks, but we all obviously come through it. And then, very specifically, obviously, Deborah Cohen, my campaign manager, Andy Wells-Bean, my parents, my mom, my dad, my wife, Jen. She's been a rock in this whole thing, helping out, I mean, they say behind every great man is an even greater woman. I wouldn't even say I'm a great man, but I would say that she's a fantastic woman, and she is everything. And my kids.
I was gonna say, you had some tiny supporters out
yeah,
there.
we had some tiny supporters out there, waving, holding signs. My daughter, she was a ham out there. Penelope, Quentin, Harrison. I wouldn't be who I am today without you guys. So,
all right,
been a hell of a day.
Well, you're in it now.
Yeah.
So at least for the next 3 years, got your work cut out for you. So
absolutely.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you both very much.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right.
All right, we're about to have somebody else come in. You mentioned the constable seats, which was a race this year, but we don't have the numbers for that yet. But the 3 candidates were William Pepicelli, Anthony Saya, and Dennis Otis.
Yes. And couple of, I think, it's not the first time for all 3 of them. Obviously, 2 of them are incumbents, but I think Dennis Otis has also run a few times.
Oh, yes, okay.
And he's been made himself a presence, at things like the Council on Aging when they had their candidates for him. So I do believe that we have somebody else coming in. And one other point to make, so we talked about the ballot question and that it was passed. So Brian Curtin, the current tax collector for the last, he's been in there since 1976 as treasurer, and treasurer tax collector since 1977, or the other way around. But it's been 4 decades plus with Brian Curtin. Yeah. He was on the ballot, and he will be sworn in for this office again. So he's not going to, just, not be, the election will be.
How does that work? Will he fill out his full term, or is it now
No,
he's not going to have the chance to?
He will not fill out his full term, but he may be there for some time.
Yes, yeah.
So according to my conversation with Amy Warfield, the town clerk, the Board of Selectmen has between 3 months and up to 2 years to then make an appointment.
I see.
I do, based on just, general conversation, I do think they will probably allow, Curtin to make his decision. He had renounced retirement a couple years ago, and then he decided not to retire at the same time because the town administrator position was, being switched over. He didn't want to kind of leave the town in flux. Yeah. So I think whenever, within the next 2 years that he decides that he wants to retire will probably be how they go about finding his replacement.
All right. Well, Sally Willard is now with us to talk about that ballot question.
Yes.
Welcome,
Sally.
Sally.
Thank you very much.
To introduce you, you were one of the strong proponents of the yes side for the ballot question.
Yes, I was the treasurer. We had a committee that worked very hard to pull together a message and to get the word out. And from there, it was just a question of trying to get voters out and explaining to people why this was important and what it would mean to the town.
And, just kind of cover the big highlights. Why did you think that this was an important endeavor to undertake and push for?
Well, when Mr. Curtin announced his retirement last spring, the Board of Selectmen decided that that was the opportune time to bring to the voters the question of, should we elect our treasurers going forward, or should we appoint and look for someone who has some job requirements? Brian has grown with the position. He's done well, and But when he started 42 years ago, the town budget was $20 million. It's grown to $150 million, and it's not just collecting the payments and paying the bills. It also means he's the manager of the benefits department. He's responsible for investing the cash on hand. He's responsible for the collections, but also for the pension management and for a lot of things that don't have to do with just collecting money and paying bills.
Okay. And now, I mean, we've had a lot of debate about this. I don't really think that we need to rehash everything. But,
yeah.
So just a comment to the people who came out and voted in favor of this.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone who came out to vote, and especially those who came out to vote yes. It's a change, but it's important for the future of the town and our financial well-being that we have someone who's hired, who's gone through a screening process, and who's interviewed in public forum and on television. And I hope that there will be a lot of input from the community during the process. But I'd especially like to thank three people. The committee chair, Eileen Sickler, Bob Hogan, who was the selectman who was really the champion for this, and Sherry Ellis, who couldn't be with us today, but was really very helpful as we were trying to pull together our message and get everything together to bring this to be.
Well, congratulations on your side coming out ahead, and I think now it'll be interesting just to see the process of how the board goes about its selection process and who we have after Mr. Curtin decides to retire or 2 years comes up.
Yes, and I will note that Amy Warfield, our town clerk,
Yes.
will be attending the selectmen's meeting on Monday to fill the selectmen and us in on the next steps in the process going forward.
Okay, great.
And so everyone should tune into that and watch the selectmen and be involved in the process.
Absolutely agree. And you can watch it right here on the same channel you're watching this.
Great.
So thank you very much
All
for coming
right.
in, Sally.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Night.
All right, we'll have another candidate coming in just a minute. We did have, of the 7 precincts, there were races in 3 of the precincts, I believe, 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
And we'll have those numbers later on.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Now,
is.
in a couple of the precincts, there was not a full complement. And what happens there? That is it write-ins or is it?
If somebody has put themselves forward as a write-in candidate, then yes, I do know that there is, for one of the precincts, somebody was down there waiting to get their numbers for the write-ins. So we will have that up on our site once they are all counted. That's sort of what put things back. But
Okay.
in the interest of not having everybody who's here who has after parties to go to, we didn't want to wait until the 9:30 to 10 o'clock that may have been required to get the full list.
Sure.
But bcattv.org/BNEWS will have all the results, and on this very channel once the graphics are all put together and everything's ready.
Great. Well, Mike Espejo has just stopped by to talk about his victory tonight. Welcome, Mike.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in. So again, another hard-fought campaign. You did a lot of getting yourself out there, and it seems to have paid off. Just your thoughts on how you're feeling right now?
Yeah, first I want to say thank you to Carol Perna for a great campaign, great race, and thank you for her service for the town. She's done very nice job for the town, and I wish her well. And I met her at the election last year, and she's always been very nice and gracious and kind to me. So thank you to Carol.
Excellent. And since announcing your run, it's like I said, it's been a lot of work. Just talk about kind of what you learned about your first time running for office.
This was unlike anything I've ever done before. It was very emotional, draining, and I ran for a town meeting last year and didn't do so hot.
Okay.
So I was 8 out of 8.
Second time running.
Yeah, so I didn't do so hot, and I learned a lot. And when I went into it this year, I wanted to run a campaign where at the end of the day, no matter what happened, no matter what the result, I was happy with the campaign. And no matter what happened today, I was very happy with the campaign we ran. I'm very proud of the effort, and I gave it everything. So I'm just very happy.
And just talk about some of the, the people who supported you. Any comments to them?
Yeah,
and the
first
people who
off,
voted?
yeah, thank you to the people of Burlington. I'm humbled that I earned your vote today, and I appreciate it, and I'm not going to let you down. I'd also like to thank my campaign manager, Adam Tigas, who has done a great job for me. And Adam, I probably sent him 7,000 texts throughout this campaign. I probably overwhelmed him with all my texts, but he did a great job. And thank you to everyone who hosted a meet and greet. Tony and Sarah, Heidi and Tom and Nicole and Steve, and everyone who just helped and voted in my family. Thank you very much. There's so many people to mention.
Sure. So now it's a 5-year term, correct? So you got quite a bit of, time to learn the ropes, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, being on the planning board. What are you looking forward to just in the, the upcoming weeks and months?
I'm just looking forward to learning the process, learning how the planning board works, just getting up to speed with the other members on the board, and just look forward to bringing a fresh perspective, a fresh new face, and just jumping right in. So I'm eager to get started. I think our first meeting is April 18th, and I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, like I said, a lot of reading to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some late nights on that board. And I guess this is the last thing is just anything in particular that you're looking forward to kind of, delving into as far as, specific projects or issues that you see?
There's a lot of exciting things going on. I'm excited for the life sciences to come into town. I think with small cell, I'm excited to see what happens with that. I think we're ahead of most communities with the small cell committee and all that, just in all the development in town and just jumping right in and bringing, again, a new face to the planning board and working hopefully better with our business community on the planning board and making Burlington a more attractive place for businesses to come and to make Burlington even greater than it is already.
All right. Well,
All right.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank
in.
you, gentlemen.
Congratulations
Thank you
on your win.
and everyone for watching.
And good luck
Thank you.
with your new position.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Alan.
All right, I think we have at least one more person coming in.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm getting.
So just to quickly run down some of the other positions that were unopposed tonight. There was the treasurer collector, of course, the assessor, school committee. We had 2 positions with 2 incumbents. The library trustees, we had 2 3-year seats with 1 incumbent and 1 new person. And then we had a 1-year seat for the library trustees. I don't believe there was a candidate for that.
Right.
And then the
I
board.
think there's another write-in.
There is another write-in.
I believe.
Okay. And
Again.
there's the Board of Health, the Housing Authority, and the Recreation Commission also had 1 seat.
Right.
Well,
And I did reach out to some of these candidates, and I know Thomas Murphy, for example, from the school committee, he wanted me to pass on his regrets that he wasn't able to make it here tonight. He had a prior planned family engagement, so
Okay.
I told him I would pass that to voters, and now I'm doing that.
Great, thank you. Well, Carol Perna has just joined us. Hi, Carol.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, Carol. So I know disappointing outcome, but after a long, hard campaign. But just talk about how you feel about your time on the planning board.
Well, I've enjoyed my time on the planning board. I had hoped to continue after learning all that there was to learn. And I'm proud of all the things that got accomplished. The shops at Simon's that are on the former Building 19. We've got some new sidewalks in town since I've been in. We've got lots of new restaurants. We're getting a sidewalk with from Mall Road from the edge of the mall to Middlesex Turnpike.
Right, as part of that Sears renovation.
As part of the Sears renovation.
yeah.
So there's a lot of good things that are coming down that I've had
Yeah,
part in. So I'm
Burlington's-
proud of all that's been done.
Yeah, I mean, Burlington's definitely been a fast-growing town, and it's important to have people making sure that, one, the development continues, but also does it in a way that sort of fits with
Right,
the wants and desires of the residents. So.
Exactly, that we keep our neighborhoods as neighborhoods and get the best projects through that we possibly can.
Right. Now, just sort of, I know, like I said, with with a previous candidate, you know, you're obviously the candidate, but it's never just one woman alone, or one person alone, it's a team. So just talk about the people who have been supporting you.
Well, my family, first and foremost, always supports me, and then other members of the planning board have supported me along the way. Jack Kelly, Ernie Cavino, Barbara LaRue, Paul Raymond, all have helped me tremendously this time around.
Excellent.
So, and I want to thank also Bill Gaffney and Joe and Pember. It's been a pleasure to serve with all of you, and with the planning staff as well.
Very good. And I know, you know, the planning board wasn't your first part of being involved with the town. Did you plan to continue on as, you know,
I'm
public service in
sure
any
I
way?
will find something else to do. I believe that what happens in town elections is the most important, and the town is more important than even state elections and national elections, at least to myself. And I think that's where your tax monies are going. It's the people who set the policies and do the work. So I think it's the most important. It affects you every single day.
Right. Excellent.
So thank you, everyone, for all your help.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for your time, service of the town. that you've
Thank
done
you.
Thus far.
I'm sure I'll find something else to do.
I'm sure you will.
Thanks. It was great seeing you guys
You
tonight.
too. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank
You as
you.
well.
Good night. Well, I think that may be the last of our candidates, unless you,
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if Mr. Hogan has shown up.
well,
Oh, he is.
he is here, okay.
We're being told that he
Mr.
is.
Hogan,
So
okay.
I believe
So
he would be the next person.
Do you want to go through the top 3 races while we're waiting for him to join us?
Yeah, just to recap. So, you know, for the Board of Selectmen, we had incumbents Chris Hartling and Bob Hogan, challenger Nick Priest. Nick took the top spot, and Bob Hogan took second place. Hartling came in strong, but in third with 1377, as you can see on our graphic right here. Then we had the race for Planning Board with incumbent Carol Perna, who we just spoke to, challenger Micah Spejo, Carol, and these are the initial numbers, you know, I'm reading off the ticker tape.
Sure, right. Yes.
And then had 888 to 1589. And then finally, the ballot question that we have discussed previously, the yeses were a big you know, win on that with 1,565 to 1,038. So a lot of
Okay.
people were in favor of making that change to the treasurer tax collector position.
Well, Bob Hogan has arrived. Welcome, Bob.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Excellent. I know.
With mixed emotions.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, I mean, you know, I know you've been on the board for 9 years. Chris has been on for 6. Any comment about just his
Yeah, I
service
mean,
here
Chris
for
and
the
I
town?
have worked well together for the last 6 years. This past year, he was chair and I was vice chair. And when you spend time working with someone like that, you kind of get into a groove and a rhythm. And, you know, I think we accomplished a lot during the 6 years with the 2 of us and the other 3 members of the board.
Right, of course. And just, you know, your thoughts, you know, on being reelected to a 3rd term. Any comments to your
Yeah.
people who supported your campaign and the voters?
Yeah, well, first of all, to the voters, thank you for your confidence and support so that I could spend another term doing what hopefully we all think is the right thing for the town. I want to thank Jimmy Tigas and Adam Tigas for helping me stay on track running the campaign. We're working together. Jim has taken the lead on the small cell issue, which is
Right.
very big in town. And as a matter of fact, because of Jim and Kristen at the planning board, Burlington is ahead of the curve
Right,
all across the country on dealing with this small cell issue.
right. People are calling us, right?
Yes, people are calling us. And, you know, there's other things we're working on. The life sciences are a whole brand new thing that we're opening up ourselves to here in town, and a lot of other smaller things that we want to continue to work on. So I'm excited about the people who supported us. Thank you to the people who voted for us. But I get to spend some more time working on the things that we've all thought to be very important.
Now, I know it was a hard-fought campaign, and, you know, as you said, you were, you know, closer, comfortable with Chris. Any thoughts, you know, for Mr. Priest coming onto the board, or any advice?
Yeah, I mean, take the time to learn. You know, when I first got on the board, when all the members first got on the board, you have to just take the small steps and figure out what's going on. You know, talk to the staff. We've got some great staff in our office, but great department heads who do wonderful things. And you know, the best advice would be start to talk to all the people that you're going to be working with, and get to know them, and we all work better that way.
Great. Any final thoughts? I know we kind of covered, I think, most of the questions that we had. So.
Yeah, no, you know, my family has been a major supporter in this, and I'm thrilled that they're happy with tonight's numbers.
All right. Well, thank you for your previous service and your future service to the town of Burlington. Appreciate you coming in as well.
Yeah, and you too. Thank you for your service to the town.
Well, thanks. Try to do what we can here. But.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Thank you very much. That's great.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, I think we may have reached the end of our candidates, but
I do believe
I'm
so.
not sure.
I mean, we had everybody. I don't believe anybody from the no side was planning on coming in. I didn't see anybody down at the polls. So once again, you know, we're kind of doing it a little bit differently this year, just based on timing and how the numbers were looking like they were going to come out. We were told, you know, around 9 that it might be another hour.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably getting up to that point. So we'll have everything on a loop on this station and bcattv.org/bnews. Shortly, I'll have a write-up. So.
Okay.
And with all the results.
So I think we're ready to wrap up.
I do believe so.
It doesn't sound like anybody else is coming. You have any final thoughts?
I mean, I think pretty much like what you've said in past iterations of this show. I think just running, putting themselves out there is a testament to, you know, everybody who gets into a race.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, public service is important. I think, you know, and many years, you know, oftentimes we have a lot of uncontested races. We did have some, you know, new people, or, you know, relatively new people in this year, and I think it's good for democracy to have more people involved.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks, Rich.
Well, thank you.
I'd like to congratulate all of the candidates, and of course to the winners. You realize that tomorrow the real work begins. For Rich Hosford and the staff and all the volunteers here at BCAT, have a pleasant evening. Good night, everyone.